appropriation.
Welcome back to Summer Money. When it comes to the not-for-profit sector, profit is understandably seen as a bit of a dirty word, but one NFP CEO says that shouldn't be the case. John Carroll is the CEO of Omnicare Alliance, and he believes that the charity sector needs to adopt a commercial business principle mindset to survive. It seems almost paradoxical, so here to explain this idea himself is John. Welcome.
Thank you, Chloe. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on Summer Money. We've just had a really great chat before we've come to air, but tell me about Omnicare Alliance, who you are and what you do, just to start with.
Sure. So Omnicare Alliance is the result of a very recent merger between 4 organisations. So it was Meals on Wheels Mid-North Coast, which is where I came out of originally, Hastings District Respite Care, or HDRC Services, Hastings Home Modifications and Maintenance, and Parklands Cottage. So 4 organisations, all of which were operating, or almost all of which were operating in very different sectors of the human services industry. So Meals on Wheels obviously doing meals, mainly to the age market, but some to disabilities. HDRC were doing disability and aged care, offering respite care, group activities, etc. Hastings Home Modifications and Maintenance, doing exactly what their name sounds like, but catering to the aged and disabled markets. And then Parklands Cottage, which is a smaller day respite centre.
Fantastic. I mean, I said in the opener, it's a really interesting topic, isn't it? This whole, profit is a dirty word and commercialisation for not-for-profits. I mentioned to you I'm on the board of One Wave Foundation,
yes,
so a not-for-profit who, and they sort of came to me and spoke about how they really wanted to grow and grow that business. And I said, well, you need funding, and it's such a hard thing to do. So how do we, as I guess a market in Australia, really talk to not-for-profits about getting that mindset and that commercial mindset?
Well, I think what not-for-profits need to come to grips with is the fact that, I think it's a fact, that the gap between the for-profit sector or commercial sector and the not-for-profit sector is narrowing. So if you look at the for-profit, the commercial sector, they're having to become far more consumer conscious, far more socially conscious, far more community minded. So they're moving from their one extreme of the paradigm of that continuum into the middle. And at the same time, the not-for-profits, because in particularly in the sector we work in, the human services industry, the normal source of, or the traditional source of our funding, being government funding, is being pulled away and given to consumer control, which is opening up competition, which means we're having to move more to the middle to become more commercial. So the two are joining together. What it really means, I think, is that there's very little difference now between a not-for-profit and a for-profit, except that a not-for-profit can't distribute its profits to its shareholders. To me, that's the only difference.
It is the only difference. I think that's a really interesting point. They are sort of merging and sort of coming together. I was going to ask you, actually, how you thought Australian business generally was working in a more socially conscious way and more sort of towards a not-for-profit, or at least supporting those kinds of organisations.
Well,
are they doing enough?
No.
Okay, yeah.
No, I don't think they are. What I see is a lot of, and I'm certainly not going to name names already, but I see a lot of lip service being paid to it. So I think a lot of commercial organisations are still, they realise that they need to do that. They realise they need to have an image of being commercial, or not just commercially conscious and not just profit-driven, because the public's over greed, corporate greed. So they want to be seen as being more community conscious. And a lot are not really doing very much in that space. There are some that are doing great things. So, for example, we have a number of volunteers. We rely a lot on volunteers. We've got about 1,400 of them. And we have some businesses that will give us a block of volunteers once a week, for example. We know we can rely on them to supply volunteers who are their staff members, their employees, who come during their working hours. To do that, which is fantastic, but not enough for doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We talk about sort of commercial business priorities. Do you have any advice to not-for-profits out there about what sort of business priorities could they really focus on to try and drive more profit to their business? Well, not profit, sorry, but sort of funds within the business to help it grow and expand?
Yeah, it's a big question. I think there are a number of things they need to do. The first thing, I believe, is they've got to differentiate themselves in the marketplace. The days of being able to just continue delivering a service in the traditional manner and the way you always have gone. You've got to get innovative around that and innovative around the products and services you're delivering to your clients or your customers. That's the first thing. You've then got to really understand your market segments. So those not-for-profits, and again, particularly in the human services sector, have never really had to do much marketing at all. So they don't understand it. And that's a real problem, because if they're now competing in a highly competitive environment and they don't know how to get their market segmentation right, it's very difficult. Because, for example, I look at our organization at Omnicare. Our market is spread across a number of different sectors. So we have the clients themselves, either in the aged care or the disabilities sector. We have their carers, their parents, their children who may refer them, and they may be the market who actually put those people into our service. Or connect those people with our service. And then we're looking for donors, we're looking for sponsors, so we've got a whole different sector there again. So market segmentation is important. I think also the need to hire innovative but inspirational people and people who are real powerhouses in their fields, because traditionally that's not been the case either, because funding's been handed on a plate to a lot of not-for-profits, and that's now changing. You've got to have the talent. You've got to have the talent there who can actually drive a commercial business and know what they're doing that.
Yeah, that's really good advice as people you can bring into the business. Something else that's just made me think of is also seeking advice from, very senior sort of commercially minded people, not-for-profits. That's also a great idea as well. And
absolutely.
I find that people are actually quite willing to give their advice. We're talking really senior, fantastic people who I know of who give advice to not-for-profits as well. Maybe surrounding yourself with individuals like that.
Yes, couldn't agree more. Absolutely. Go and find mentors for your business or mentors for key people in your business, and really work with that. I think there's a real gold mine out there of people who are prepared to do it. Yeah.
What do you think we expect to see, I guess, from what you do over the next 12 months in 2018?
Okay, so we're only 6 months into our merger. So the organisations of the 4 merging organisations have been around a long time, all of them. But as a merged entity, 6 months in, so brand new. So first of all, we've got to get our merger bedded down. But what we are looking at is a number of things. One of the first priorities we're working on outside of the operational sphere of what we're doing is to reduce our dependence on government funding. We just believe that's
you can't rely on it.
You can't rely on it. It's a very dangerous place to be. Governments are fickle. Government changes and funding models suddenly change. So we've set ourselves some fairly audacious targets to reduce our dependence on government funding, and we're going to be focusing on that a lot over the next year. We're also looking at a lot into the whole aspect of how we can be more innovative, more tech-driven, more market-driven in terms of what we're doing to attract and retain clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Have you enjoyed your shift from your sort of more commercially minded career into this new career path that you have?
I have. I have. It's a really interesting field, and I think in many ways it's more challenging than the straight commercial sector because you're dealing with so many competing forces in there, and also with the public. And that's another area that really we need to get a changed mindset is in the public and their attitude to charities and not-for-profits. Especially in terms of earning a profit and in terms of talent.
Yep.
What they pay executives, what the administrative overheads of charities and not-for-profits are. There's enormous scrutiny, often to the detriment of the charities.
Absolutely. It's a huge topic. We've got to wrap, John. Thank you so much for coming on Summer Money. I love what you're doing, and it's a really important space. We need people like you in this country.
Thank you, Chloe.
That's all for the show tonight. I'm Chloe James. Thanks for watching.